Hello and welcome to a brand new video called The Big Picture. So I'm Reshma. I'm going to be taking you through, let's say, a journey of your soul's timeline, understanding how you expand or your soul expands in this lifetime across lifetimes, how you move through different levels of consciousness and what happens at each level, what are the different things that you need to know as we keep moving through. So let's begin. So let's imagine that this is like your timeline, right? So we're just having an infinite timeline for here, but let's just consider this present life to begin with. So most of us and almost all of us at a very young age, or when we start having that conscious awareness per se, we start taking actions very logically. So for example, if you're taking actions through your logical mind, through your conscious, driven by your ego, your fears, etc., so you take small steps. Now this is how most of us function when we are taking analytical, logical decisions as we keep moving through life, which is nothing bad. You just going and taking very small steps as far as your timeline is concerned. You're moving just little tiny steps. And as you're doing this, there might come a time when you get into, let's say, maybe a spiritual awakening of sorts, where you start thinking that there is more to life than this. There is this other aspect to life where you understand that it's not just you, but there is something beyond you. You call it universe, God, source, however you want to name that, right? So when you start having this realization that there could be something bigger than you also playing a role in your journey, that's when most of the people get into spirituality. They start their spiritual journey. So you kind of have this realization that it's not just you. And here at this point, you start taking bigger leaps. Once you understand the concept of your higher self or your soul, you however you want to call it, inner wisdom, intuition, soul, higher self, different terminologies, pretty much the same concept, where you realize that there is a part of you whose journey this actually is, and you need to start listening to that part of you, because that part of you has a bigger picture of understanding what is happening, because it's the soul's timeline, right? So your soul has a much bigger picture of where we are going in this particular lifetime. So when you listen and start taking aligned actions, aligned decisions, inspired actions, again, different terminologies, but they all are the same, then you start taking bigger leaps. And what happens is everything that you want, your desires, your manifestation, co-creation, all of them start happening sooner, because if you had gone through it logically, your logical mind can only see things based on what has happened in the past. It does not see the big picture. So you are taking just the small steps based on past experiences and how things went and all of that. So you're very calculated, well, decisions in a way. But because your higher self or your soul has a much bigger idea of what's coming, it gives you inspired actions which helps you take leaps and end up bringing a lot of things into your life faster. And this is what most of the people call manifestation, co-creation, quantum leaping. This is what it is basically. You take a series of leaps and it feels like your life is completely shifted, like things have changed so much. And then what starts to happen is you start also being able to tap into messages from beings outside of you. So far, the messages were still coming from within you in a way, your soul, your higher self, and so on and so forth. However, then you start realizing that there are multiple multi-dimensional beings who are also ready to share messages, right? Because they see a much bigger picture. They are, well, working for the collective consciousness, for the expansion of the collective, so they can see a much bigger picture, and then they also drop in messages, which is what we call as downloads. You're channeling, so you channel entities, you channel beings, gods, star families, etc. And there are multiple tools like the Akashic records that will help you tap into and get messages that you normally wouldn't just receive from yourself. Now what this does is it helps you make bigger leaps and start moving things faster in your life. So if you look at it, this is how we kind of transition from a 3D consciousness to a 4D consciousness to a 5D consciousness. Now what happens here? As you keep getting a lot of messages, let's say you moved through these levels, you start getting a lot of messages from outside of you, but you are not really tuned in to your higher self or your soul so much that you built that connection. You're going to get bombarded with a lot of messages. A lot of messages will keep coming to you, and what that happens is they are all giving messages based on their perspective, the way they look at things. Now, is that something that you need? Is that something your soul wants for its timeline? Is it the right time for you to act on these information pieces that you're getting? Because here's the thing, maybe you listen to one sort of message that is coming from one particular tool per se. So maybe you will have a much greater timeline if you listen to this. But what is happening based on you listening to this is you are giving away your power. You are giving away your power. Maybe in this lifetime, currently, when you are so logically focused, you might be giving power away to people, where you're constantly asking others for validation, for helping you make your decision, make your choices, because you are not sure. You're scared of your past experiences. So even if you're taking small jumps or slightly bigger jumps, you constantly want validation. And that comes from people. Now, on this journey, when you start moving ahead, you might start wanting the same validation from others as well. Why? Because you're not ready to trust that message that's coming from within. So what happens ultimately? You go from giving power to people to power to these multidimensional beings when you are not listening to your soul or your higher self. Because at the end of the day, it is your soul's timeline. This is something that I recently came across when we were doing one of the Eunoia 5D sessions, where the message, which the Eunoia 5D program is fully channeled by the Akashic records, through the Akashic records. So one of the messages that we received, I don't remember which topic, was the fact that you are on your soul's timeline. This is not your timeline. So some things, if you want it, it may happen, and then it might also leave you because of the fact that you're meant to learn something from it. So let me not deviate from the topic, but understand that this is your soul's timeline, and who should you be listening to in that case? You should be listening to your soul. Now, I've learned this well, obviously my life is kind of like trial and error. I go through the experiences, I learn, but once I figure out, my job is to share this information, because that's how I feel like I want to share the things that I have learned, processed, experienced, share it through my lens and my way of looking at it, right? So through experience, I know that you start giving your power away to multidimensional beings, records, tarot cards, oracle cards, every other tool out there, pendulum, crystals. Well, there are numerous things that can help you, but it means that when you're dependent on all of these external things to help you make your choices, then you forever just stay dependent. You cannot function independently. And I'm a person who focuses on that, well, free will and independence at any given point of time. So it's great to get information from all of the other sources, whether it's records, whether it's through channeling, through your cards and XYZ and whatnot. But the discernment, whether to take the choice, comes from within you, and learning to listen to your soul, working on building that connection with your soul is going to be massively helpful for your entire timeline. Now, a lot of people mostly want to just stay here in the 3D, 4D world, because that could be the decision of the soul, that we are here to experience the 3D, 4D life. Some souls will want to go 5D and beyond as well, right? Again, that's the soul's timeline. So even this jump from 3D to 4D, when you start feeling that calling, that inclination towards, well, the spiritual side of things, also is a soul call. right? This is also a soul call. Whether you're ready to move from 4D to 5D is also a soul call. You need to be able to tap into that. Otherwise, you're forever confused. Should I do this? Should I learn that? Should I do this? Should I invest in this? Should I invest in that? Should I make this big decision? Should I close everything? Should I move? Should I leave my job? Should I start something? All of these questions, the answers are not outside of you, they are within you. Your soul knows what it wants to do in this lifetime, because through moving through this timeline, it is here to learn and grow. It is here to experience the ups and the downs. It is here to go through all of those experiences to learn what it is meant to learn in this lifetime. We don't know what's going to happen in the next, right? So this part here, one of the main things that I have realized is so important, other than obviously multiple other topics, but I feel that it's very, very important to be able to listen to your soul, right? So that is where I honestly, in these 2+ years of teaching people and helping them and guiding them on the spiritual journey, plus my own journey of almost more than 4 years now, I can tell you that this is very, very important. Now, if you don't do this, then you never trust yourself. You don't get that full confidence in the insights that you are receiving from within. You will keep questioning everything. You will keep looking outside of yourself to help you make those decisions. Now, which is why it's very, very important to learn to connect with your soul. Learn to tap into that inner wisdom, your higher self, your intuition, whatever you want to call it, right? People get scared that, these intuitive decisions or messages are very crazy. There is no logic behind them. Yes, because logic stops right here. Logic stops with the conscious mind, right? It is your conscious mind, your ego, and your fears that are running that part of your life, those logical decisions. Because they can't see ahead, it will always feel crazy. It will feel illogical and will feel scary. But that is where a lot of things come in, which is trusting in yourself, in the bigger picture, or the universe, source, your own soul, that every choice that you make is there for a reason. See, every choice that you make can get you a high or it can get you a low. There is no wrong or right. You will learn here and you will learn here. It's that simple. There is no right, wrong decisions. You will learn from every experience that you have. So you kind of go through this entire journey of, learning first to connect with your intuition, then trusting those messages, acting on those messages, slowly building that connection, starting with small things, and eventually being able to take those big leaps, right? Now, these could be guided by your multidimensional beings, but the decision ultimately lies with you, right? Just because some god that you channeled is telling you to take that action doesn't mean you have to. Does it feel right for you is still the important question, right? So I always come back to my own soul, wanting to understand what my soul wants to do on its timeline. Now, as you're moving through this, what will happen is, when, let's say, you start listening to your soul, a lot of other aspects come into the picture as well. For example, you're basically, you in your head are a collection of multiple things. So for example, you have your soul, but you also have your subconscious mind, which stores a lot of your past experiences, this lifetime, last lifetime, a lot of conditioning, beliefs, everything. And then you have your conscious mind, which is that analytical, logical thinking mind that is there to do something else, but basically overtakes our entire life. And then you have your ego, which is this sense of self, which we put out to others. And then there's fears, which come from, basically the ego, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. All of these different voices basically hamper your ability to listen to your soul. And even if by chance you get a message, you're able to basically hear something like a whisper of your soul, even then they will still try to stop you from taking, because all of your conscious mind, ego, everything comes into the picture and makes you not want to take that big risky leap. So there's a lot of work that goes on, even just trying to get into that, building that connection and trust with yourself, with your soul, right? So if you ask me, this is the most important thing. And well, and then there's a lot of other aspects like learning to work with your subconscious mind, learning to work with your ego, learning to let go of your fears, and then obviously the all of the other aspects of this. So I hope this gives you a clear picture wherever you are on your spiritual journey as to what is happening, right? Where you are, right? And if you want help, if you want to be a part of a community where I help people basically understand all of this, but I go into the deeper aspects, I dive deep. If you kind of liked how I've given you this is how I pretty much do everything, right? Yes, it's a spiritual concept, but I love breaking it down and making it easy and understandable for people, right? So if you like this, Eunoia is the program that will help you. Basically, you have everything that you need to kind of live a great life in the 3D 4D world. There's human design, there's subconscious mind work, there's emotional resilience building, there is understanding how to connect with your soul, there is a lot of work that goes in at just this level, right? Because there's a lot of healing that needs to be done, physical, emotional, mental healing that needs to be done, even to basically, this might be like a leap, but there are a lot of phases here as well. There are a lot of steps here as well, right? So you need help along this part. So all of this is what I help in Eunoia. And in this part of it, once you are ready, once you are very, very in tune with your inner wisdom, with your soul, and you're ready to, and it's a soul call that you're ready to want to work in the 5D with multidimensional beings, being in that space, being ready for bigger leaps, making a difference in the collective. Because remember, once you move into 5D, it's all about helping the collective as well in whatever way. That collective could be just your family, it could be just you, it could be your own soul's expansion for some reason, it could be a small community, right? But the work is always at a collective level in some way, form or the other. And if you're ready to do this, here I teach all of the tools that you need to maneuver and navigate well life beyond 5D, or life in 5D consciousness in Eunoia 5D. So this is pretty much the big picture, right? And to give a little bit of clarity, Eunoia is a women only membership which I've been running for 2 years now. We are in our 3rd year, and right now I am going to be doing a live version of Soul Talk, right? The topic is called Soul Talk because I want to, now that I've understood how important it is to have built that connection with your soul, with that inner wisdom, I'm doing a 1 month long program inside Eunoia called Soul Talk. This is going to be helping you learn to tap into that inner wisdom, build that connection, and learn to start trusting yourself slowly and steadily so that you can listen to your soul on its timeline. All right. If you have questions, if you want to know anything, drop a comment, ask a question below, and I would love to help you out with that. And also, I hope this was very helpful for you. All right. Thank you.